Reimagine ATL exists to equip the next generation of storytellers.
Not just any storytellers, but representative storytellers. That means any teen that feels unheard, overlooked, or ignored.
And we do that with the vision of a safe,
inclusive, and equitable workforce.
At Reimagine, we believe in the power of story.
So we aim to provide platforms that amplify authentic voices,
foster community,
and ignite change in the most authentic way.
Enjoy.
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 She's just a kid. She just wants to dance and hang out with her friends and have fun.
Easy. It is, but I want everything on YouTube.
She deserves that.
And so do you. But you and your sister don't stand a chance if you can't help her control her power. This power has been in our family for generations. You were chosen. Now you have to fight.
Tell me what happened.
He's gone. I don't know where he is. They took him.
I need you to build me a device, like the one you did for your sister. Do you think you can do that for me?
Why would I ever do anything for you?
Dude, you're like a superhero. That's crazy.
Every day we're faced with how COVID-19 will change our lives.
We are ushering in an evolving normal.
And it's easy to feel overwhelmed.
I feel like I just got thrown into this new world.
To find some clarity, I spoke to 6 individuals from various backgrounds to see how the pandemic affects the average person. The hard parts?
My dream, my whole life was to leave home, go to university, go to a big school, and like go to football games. And so to have that dream kind of taken away because of this whole pandemic was devastating.
Everything. The hardest part is really not being able to see my teachers and friends, most of all.
My aunt, her husband, diabetic, taken to the doctor, and the doctor said, you need to go to the hospital. She was denied entry into the hospital. He was there for 3 weeks. Now, he was getting better after about 3 days, about 3 or 4 days. They got the numbers and everything was looking good. But then he contracted the virus in the hospital. She never saw him face to face again.
Maintaining mental stability.
Before I go to work, I might write in silence and just meditate. And personally, I like to pray. And it really uplifts my spirit. And it really keeps me going.
I've been kind of taking this time to spend more time with my family. And so that's been keeping me pretty mentally stable. I've been able to kind of vent, and I've been able to just kind of have an outlet to let my emotions out, which is my parents. So, yeah.
We watch movies, eat snacks, and usually play with our dad sometimes when he gets home.
And find hope.
We have to move forward as a unified front.
We just gotta learn to be nice to each other, respect each other. You know, we're all going through this.
So everything's gonna be okay eventually.
So we'll get to hug and see each other again.
Like, stay in, put your mask on, sanitize, wash your hands.
Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on others. And don't give up on our nation.
You rolling? All right. I'm Chris, and I'm the leader here around AB. Well, to be honest, Alpha Beta is more than a fraternity to me. It's a brotherhood. Welcome to the castle, boys. It's time for you to prove to me that AB is where you belong. Now, who's ready to get fucked up?
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I definitely broke it. I'm so sorry. I tried out for every club on campus and haven't heard back, so trying again.
That new guy, Kyle, he's a pretty cool dude, but the dude stinks, let's be honest.
Do I look okay? Do I smell okay? That's a no.
First task of the night. You're out. What? You're out. Get the fuck out of my house. Next. I gotta say, Kyle's really good. He's almost too good.
There's something off about Kyle. I don't trust him.
It was just pure luck. I mean, nothing to it.
Well, the next task might trip Kyle up. Everyone's got to get a chick to send him nudes.
Did you know that my dad owns this place? Yeah. Hey, I got boobs!
Is it something I said?
Kyle, you're a really great guy, but I'm pretty sure you peed on my sheet.
Kyle's the only one who got nothing. He's taking it pretty hard.
Something almost supernatural about Kyle.
You know, Kyle kind of smells like Bocce. Bocce's my dog back home.
Is it gluten-free? It's dog food, dumbass. Now eat it. Dude. Could you do that with a beer?
I think I finally found my pack.
Like a detox, hit the pump and go berserk. You might get found in the middle of nowhere, yeah. That shotty like a detox, hit the pump and go berserk. I think y'all in my way, so tell me which one going first. That shotty like a detox, hit the pump and go berserk. I think y'all in my way, so tell me which one going first. You end up in the hearse, you end up in the grave. That shotty like a detox, hit the pump and you enslaved. Hey, yeah, I don't care. You might get found in the middle of nowhere, yeah. That shotty like a detox, hit the pump and go berserk.
New at 11, neighbors near this DeKalb County home told us they're fed up with these kinds of signs. There were also monkeys hanging from the trees and nooses. They called these displays offensive. They called them racist. Sounds Ricky Klaus, live indicator. Ricky had talked to the homeowner. He says this is really a political statement.
After years of complaining, a DeKalb County neighborhood gets help in dealing with what some
Stuffed animal monkeys hanging from trees, graphic and explicit signs posted in the yard, and a man yelling profanity.
They call these displays offensive, racist. Sounds Ricky Klaus, live indicator.
My name's James Edward Avery, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine. I was born in Prescott, Arkansas, population 4,000. I lived in, I went to Louisiana State University School of Veterinary Medicine, and then I got my first job in Miami. I was there for 1 year, and then I moved to Jacksonville, Florida. I was there 4 years, and then I've been here in Atlanta since, Decatur. I'm the youngest out of three. My sister's 7 years older than me. My brother's 5 years older than me. My brother's also here and parent like I am. And then I came along. My sister claims I was an accident, and making me angry as a kid. And I don't remember my mother denying that. She just kind of laughed. My dad's a doctor, my mother was a nurse, and then when he graduated from medical school, he met my mother at North Little Rock, so that's where they got married. Then he went in the Army for 5 years as a doctor, a medical officer in the Army. My sister was born in Little Rock, and they moved around, like Carlisle, Barrett, Pennsylvania, Fort Knox, Kentucky. My brother was born in Kentucky, and then when he got done with that, he moved back to Prescott, started practicing. That's when I was born. I was raised in Prescott, Arkansas, in public school, Prescott Elementary School, Prescott Middle School, Prescott High School. I grew up with the First United Methodist Church in Prescott, Arkansas. I mean, they filled in, what I didn't get from my peers. But I was pretty much of a loner. I joked that I was born with a brass spoon, not a silver spoon in my mouth, but a brass spoon in my mouth. So I was a privileged life. I had a privileged upbringing. And my schooling was paid for. I didn't have to pay for my schooling. I didn't have to work when I was in school. So you would think I would be doing better than I am now. But there was not that incentive either. You're kind of lazy. So I just made good grades. That's about it. Just do what I had to do. It isolated me from my peers, loner. But I still had I still very privileged upbringing, and the church that filled in. So, and it's probably around like the 5th or 6th grade when boys and girls started getting interested in each other, pairing off, that I started making straight A's. I think it wasn't necessarily that I was smart. I just had nothing better to do. Middle school, I started making straight A's, and from that point on, I made straight A's all the way to high school. I got accepted to veterinary school. I went to the University of Arkansas to get my pre-vet. Although you could do it in 2 years, most people stretch it out 4 years and get a degree. I did 3 without a degree and got accepted my first try. I tell you how the boys and girls started pairing up in 5th and 6th grade when I started making straight A's. So I was like, fuck that shit. I'll just wait till I get to college and try again. And girls rejected me first. So, but there were some instances where God gave me attention, and he got tired of being lonely, so I sort of nobody brought me out. I just finally, second year of vet school, nothing was happening. I was meeting, I had never dated or anything. And finally, I just kind of threw the book aside and went to a gay bar. I was so scared going to that gay bar. Although I didn't pick up anything, men were talking to me. They were talking to me. They wanted to get to know me. And so I kept going back. So it was my second year of vet school that I tried it. I wasn't sure. That's when I told my mother. And my mother was very close. I would say she was my best friend growing up. But the night that I told her I was my second year of vet school when I started gay, and I dove home just to tell her this. When I told her I was gay, she decided to kill herself. So she went from being just my best friend to being just my mother that night. that's the tough part about being gay. When do you tell? You don't know how they're going to react. And my mother was the first one I told, and she didn't want me telling my dad. And so I was waiting on them to come to me. And they never did. I mean, I couldn't bring up my gay life, and she didn't ask about it. So that didn't leave me much room to talk about it, except politics, or the weather, or something that weren't. I can't wait for her to come around. And I thought when my dad died, she would, they would ask me. But no, they never did. My dad was just a workaholic. He wasn't very emotional. But then he died from early diabetes, September 1999. I was still in college when he started the estate planning. And we were getting $20,000 a year non-taxable. The gift law at the time was $10,000 per year. So half what he made with my mother. So me, my brother and sister were getting $20,000 a year. So that built up over time, and I took that money out both of the house. The only reason I volunteered that is because I'm not a self-made man. I could not have afforded this the way my career was going into veterinary medicine. Because of that money, that I was able to start off better than I really should have if I had built this up myself. But my career didn't work out the way I was hoping it. So everything's coming to a crash right now. It's a midlife crisis. And then I got addicted to drugs. When you're by yourself, you're not married, and you're not making a lot of money, and you have to do your own cooking, your own cleaning, and you have to do your work and the yard. I think that's how I got addicted to Tina. And I had decided that my unhappiness with the way my career was going veterinary-wide was probably a major contributor, if not the trigger, for my addiction. So what I decided I needed was a midlife crisis, career change. I'm still a doctor of veterinary medicine, but I want to get into politics and religion. You can't separate them.
My name is Charles Bliss, and I live in the Mason Mill area. It's an older neighborhood in the vicinity of Emory University, CDC, and the VA hospital. I've lived here since 2006. We made contact with neighbors during the renovation. So we did have a lot of neighborhood communication. We actually first met Mr. Avery during the renovation. We did make a lot of changes to the yard as well as the house. When we had bobcats moving the earth, he approached us asking if he could have some of the rocks. And during that exchange, he then became very angry about our removal of trees. Other than we knew that he was sort of angry and didn't like us because of the tree removal, everything seemed pretty normal from 2006 when we started living here until 2010. And in 2010, we noticed that he was no longer going to work. He was home all the time. And we learned that he had lost his job. And following that, we then started to notice a lot of these seasonal inflatables appearing at an enormous rate, and they would not go down. I mean, they would just stay, and then he would add more, and then add more. And then following that, we saw very large signs that were made out of like long sheets of black plastic that would be nailed to his trees. So they would be like 15 or 20 feet high, and then he would paint stuff on them. It started to concern us, and we started contacting code enforcement. And then by 2012, there was an actual code enforcement violation hearing with Mr. Avery, which we attended, and he was fined $2,000 for those signs because of them being nailed to trees. So that's kind of when it all started.
We moved in December 2005, but I remember initially seeing a lot of inflatable balloons, for Hanukkah or Christmas, and some monkeys hanging, and that was kind of it for a while. Then I noticed there was an increase in the signs and what they were saying that didn't seem to really quite make sense. It tended to be of religious context, or I don't know, they just kind of were kind of nonsensical. I couldn't quite grasp what it was. And then it seemed to escalate after the neighbors moved in next to him. And Then there tended to be a lot of signage that went up, and some tended to be toward the neighbors, and it tended to be just a countless amount of signs. And then it really seemed to get out of hand, and then he'd be on the sidewalk dressed in different outfits, yelling things out, and sometimes having his hand like it was a gun, or yelling out sometimes profanity, and there was a lot of profanity on the signs later on. Initially there wasn't.
He appeared at our front door, and when we answered the door, he was literally holding 3 yellow plastic ducks in his hand. And he asked us if we would help him join into a triad with these 3 ducks, to join into a union triad with an elderly couple that lived across the street from him. We escorted him away as quickly as possible because we realized that he was not logical. And I then went over to that house where the elderly couple lived and knocked on their door as a duty to warn, because I was very concerned for their safety. They informed me of, I don't know the exact period of time, but a lot had gone on between them and Mr. Avery across the street. There had been some sort of initial friendship that went awry, and they had asked him to stay away and to no longer come over to their house, and that basically set him off. I asked the lady, had she had any contact with his family, because I was concerned about Mr. Avery, that he needed some sort of family intervention or support, because I didn't think he was doing well. And she said yes, she actually did periodically speak with his mother, and she gave me his mother's contact information. So I then called his mother, and who lived in Arkansas. And I just told her, I'm extremely concerned about your son. He lives next door to me. He seems to not be right. He's very confused, disorganized in his thinking. And he also talked a lot about drug use, chronic daily drug use. And I was concerned. So she sort of was aware of the elderly couple and what was going on there. She would call me periodically just to see if he was still alive. Have you seen him? Is he still alive? Is he still there? Have you seen him? She would say. Because she has another son, his brother, who committed suicide.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say it glowed. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year!
Avery had to go to court for too many signs in his yard and owed a $10,000 fine. Meanwhile, Avery is on probation.
I love the other reindeer, used to laugh and call him names.
It was the code enforcement person interpreted your insinuation as a threat.
Huh?
A threat to yourself. I'm going to commit suicide when I run out of money.
Well, I mean, it's your vote. I mean, all I want to do is conversation talk. They never let poor Rudolph join any reindeer games, isolated. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph in middle difficulty lies opportunity. Rudolph with your nose so bright, won't you got much late tonight? What a nosy little motherfucker, always asking questions, questioning everything.
Where do you plan to go from here?
I didn't know what else. And then $8,000, that's all I have. Think of it as an hourglass, counting down. That even $8,000, not one single thing has changed, giving me hope. I want to hang myself. Does that make sense? You know you get into that, did you?
That's the last of them.
Thanks for inviting me out, man. I kind of needed this recently. I mean, you know, I moved in with her recently, and she's kind of just been driving me crazy.
Like, bad habits and everything?
I mean, exactly. But it's been constant. Like, I mean, it started off nice and cute, but I mean, recently it's just escalated, and I really don't know what to do about it.
That's what's gonna happen when you live with someone, especially someone you're in a relationship with.
Yeah.
Hey, what's this?
Happy birthday.
I love you.
I love you too.
Show me your tongue.
What?
Show me your tongue.
Show me your tongue.
Do you even know what you're looking for?
Whatever you're looking for.
Your mouth turns black when you get it.
Okay. How'd you know that?
My brother told me.
How'd he know?
He was up north where it started. Come down to warn us.
And he's...
Yeah.
Any other family?
They all turned. He came and got me out.
Mine's up north. I'm just here for school with my girlfriend. I went to go get her, but she just...
Yeah.
I'm Tyler, by the way.
Billy.
I don't understand how this happened.
It's like a virus. Don't touch one. You'll be fine.
Where did it come from? I mean, I know it started up north, but it was here for anyone even...
Shut up. Did you hear that?
What is it?
You didn't take care of her, did you?
You, Caitlin? I took great care
No,
of
you didn't. Gee whiz, she's got your scent.
My what? She has my scent.
Whoever you're with before, they got your scent. They hunt you down like dogs. You have to take care of them, or they'll get you.
Okay.
Do you have anyone else following you?
I don't think so. No, I shouldn't.
I could do it if you want. Oh man. You know you'll have to take care of me, right?
I know.
It's just I'll have
I know.
I'm not afraid of dying. Well, it's not like I have anywhere to go anyways.
We would have figured it out.
Yeah. Stay with me, please.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't want to be alone.
Not everyone gets it right. I mean, maybe you're immune or something. Wish you had seen her before. She was so beautiful.
Wonder what I'll look like. I mean, some get better looking. I bet I'm fixing to be the handsomest zombie ever.
You'll look 10 times better at least.
How old are you?
21.
Gee, you're that old and you can't even survive a zombie apocalypse alone?
Whatever.
Come on, you wouldn't have lasted without me.
Yeah.
Do you even know how to do it right?
It's pretty straightforward.
Seriously, make sure you do it right.
I will.
Is my mouth dark yet?
No, not yet.
Liar. Where are you gonna go? I'm sure you'll find others. Tyler, why is it doing that?
Batteries must be low.
Growing up, all of us wanted to come to the U.S. The U.S. was like the promised land. So all of us wanted to come, but that all depended on finances. It depended on your family situation and stuff like that. I was lucky enough to get the lottery visa, the green card. My sister, she put my name in one of the packets, the application packets, without me knowing, and it was selected. And I find myself very lucky have gotten the green card because I was not actively looking for it. You know, people want to play the lottery, win money. I got my lottery. My situation was very different from a lot of people's situations. It was a soft landing. I could have landed in New York. I just wanted a new chapter in my life. New friends, new area, new place, start a new life. So I chose to come to Atlanta. Your mother and I met in African Nazarene University. We were the first year students for African Nazarene University. She sat next to me in class. When she came over here, I think she came in '97, and a mutual friend of ours told me that she was around, and then we linked up again. And you know, then when I joined the military, I was stationed in Illinois, so we were both in the same state. And you know, since you know, it's good to know somebody, so you keep going. I kept going to visit her in school I think it was every weekend, you know, so that's how our friendship developed more, you know.
Yeah, that's, I guess, how we met. First year, and this is in a university in Kenya, so that's how we met. And then he came to the US, and then, I don't know if he did any school at that time. And then when I came here, I finished my undergraduate, because I transferred from the Kenyan school to a sister school here in the southern Chicago.
Ashley was born when we were not prepared. We were young. I just joined the military. I was actually hoping to be stationed in Japan. That's what where I was hoping to go. So when your mom got pregnant, all that had to change. She was in her final year in college, I think. So we were definitely not prepared for it, but we had a responsibility, right? So we knuckled down, and I think we made good choices. You know, I think we did pretty okay. You know.
Yeah, we were young and kind of like taking life as it was right there. Ashley was born 98, so we kind of got married that same year. So we were not like planning and not unplanning per se. I didn't have a job at that time, and your dad was he still in training? I think so. And we're like, okay, how are we gonna do this? So it's been able to provide. Like now, okay, this is real. This is not practice. This is real. You're having a family or have a baby. You gotta stop adulting. Yeah, I mean, it's a balance, because then I think that's when now the kind of first generation comes in, because when you're growing up in the Kenyan community, you have that whole support system. You have your aunts, your uncles, but here you're on your own trying to figure out stuff, and you're trying to blend, you know, what is good here and then also put in your culture. So it's a kind of like you're practicing, and you see what works, what doesn't work, and at some point you're like, you know what, you throw it out the window and see what works between you, like your dad and I, and you, or your dad and I and Ashley and the whole family. Because then if you say, oh, I'm gonna do it like so and so does, it's not gonna work.
It's one thing to think about it, it's another thing to experience it, because the culture shock is immense. The learning curve is steep. The language barrier, even though I'm speaking English, it's not the same. It was extremely tough. It was extremely tough, you know. You come from a place where you know everything. You're very familiar with everything. And then you're taken from there and you're dumped in a place you don't know anything, and you don't know anyone, and you don't have a safety net. It's not easy. It's not an easy transition.
So raised Ashley in Jacksonville. Then after that we came here. And then you were born. What year were you born again? I'm just kidding. 21 years ago, 22 years ago, things were different. It wasn't as hectic as it is right now. It wasn't as competitive as it is now. It wasn't as expensive. I think right now, I would not want to have a kid right now. It just looks crazy right now. Yeah, there's the challenge of, okay, great, you're not learning Swahili or you're not speaking Kikuyu. But it's like, it's not like I do it all the time anyways. So, yeah, and then how often you're going to use it, you know? So, but I think it was not until with you that I realized the impact of, hey, you have a lot of influences. And it wasn't so much of the American influence. It's just all the other influences outside. And then I think what was surprising for me is that you two were complete opposites. I was like, listen, this worked with Ashley. Was it not working with Tiffany? I was like, can y'all do the same thing? So that was interesting that you were complete opposites of each other. Because for you, it was like, go, go, go. Whatever is in your mind, you spew it out. But Ashley, she's kind of grown into... She's always been quiet and steady. What you are going through in middle school is what we went through in high school. Like a change and lots of changes and a lot of challenges and everything. It's thrown at you, from drugs to alcohol to crazy friends and peer pressure. We went through that in high school. So let's go to the school counselor. Then the school counselor was like, okay, let's try. A therapist was like, what? No, we don't do therapy. You know, with the African upbringing, it's like you don't talk about such things. Even when you grow up, it's like, hey, deal with it. Maybe this may have been brought up by maybe the divorce and many other things going on around that time that kind of influenced you at that point. Like you said, you took in a lot of things, didn't deal with them. It should be something that should be talked about a lot more in the Kenyan community or in the African American communities or even some of the Hispanic communities, because again, it's how the culture is. It's like, don't put your dirty laundry outside, you know, for people to see.
Was it difficult trying to keep the culture and like in the house with raising Ashley and I, trying to make sure that we know where we came from?
You know, if your mom and I are from the same tribe, it would have been easy to do, because you speak the same language, customs are the same. You know, you guys will have picked up the language easy.
We're from two different tribes, so, and that was tough because it was coming out of a time where maybe people who are older than us, maybe like 10, 15 years, they had major issues, and we're like, okay, we're not going to be like those famous people who did this and that. We're going to chart our own way. We're going to do what works for us.
I think between me and her, we didn't have an issue with it. You know, we because we grew up in the capital city. It's very diverse in the capital city. You meet people. Well, for us, we didn't have an issue with it. I think the issues come when families get involved. Perceptions come into play, and that's some of the problems that even anybody who has an intertribal marriage, they will have that. Definitely had a play, you know, and it's unfortunate, but such is life, you know. It happens over time. You know, it happens over time. Things build up and then they become big. You know, so that's it. We were married 10 years. We were married 10 years. You know, and I don't even think people knew that we were going to have a divorce until it happened. You know?
Yeah.
It must have hurt.
Yeah, and I learned to silence that, because for me, the most important thing is when I knew we're going to go through a divorce, the most important people that I cared about were obviously you guys, and then mom and dad. Because it goes back to the expectations. You're the firstborn, what kind of example you set in. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am completely failing my family, you know.
You just ensure that you try and make it as smooth as possible. And it's never smooth, you know that. But you try your best not to shield it from the kids as much as possible.
You want your parents to be together. You want to have the family that was there. That's what you want to have and continue. You know, when something breaks, you don't like it when it's broken. Your dad is a good father. I was never going to change that. He's not going to change that. And that's what people who know him know. Yeah, when I wrote that divorce, I wrote the divorce papers, it was like, you can see the kids whenever.
Talking, what? Almost 20 years we've been in this area. 19 years, actually. That's quite some time. No?
Can you go ahead and clap for me? Alright, so... Dang, I really hope that's on purpose. How are you?
I'm good.
Can you please state your name?
Ashley Opinia.
And who were your parents?
Eustace Opinia and Angela Karanja.
Okay. So, would you say you had a good childhood?
Yeah, I'd say so. I remember when we used to go to Dad's house when he came back from his little periods of time, and we used to go hang out over there, and we'd be there over the weekend. And I remember that was like the funnest time, because we'd be with Dad, and I haven't seen him in a while, and we'd always make like pancakes or breakfast, and then we'd go and watch like a movie and something afterwards, and it was so fun.
Do you remember any like good memories like when Mom and Dad were together? Because I don't really remember anything.
I mean, I remember we used to always have the barbecues, and we'd always have everyone from the soccer team from Jamhuri FC come over, and it'd be like going on all night, and we'd be grilling in the back and have people over here, and then it was always a fun time because everyone knew everyone, and then we'd always have some music going. It was fun.
What do you remember about like the divorce?
I mean, yeah, I got over it at some point. Because, like, at first I was just like, y'all are going to try and work things out. Or, like, I remember there was this exercise we were doing in school. And I remember how they had, like, just divorced. And it was, like, 5th grade. And they were doing, like, a little, you know how you, like, close your eyes and then raise your hand and do something like that. So they were doing that exercise. And then they asked us, like, a whole bunch of questions. And then on the last question, they were just like, how many of your parents are divorced? And then I remember I was like hesitant to raise my hand, and then I had raised my hand, and then the teacher had been like, everybody open your eyes, and more than like half the class had their hands raised, and I was just like, wow, it's not just me who's dealing with it, it's everybody else too. And it was just like, wow, that's crazy. I mean, at first, you weren't really affected, like, at all. I don't think you understood what happened until a few years later. Like, it was probably, like, 3 years later. And then it started, like, really affecting you. And it was just... Because I remember it affected me immediately. And, like, every time Dad would leave, I would start crying my eyes out and be like, don't go. But you were just like, all right, bye. And then... later, like a few years later, it really hit you that like, wow, they're divorced and like they're not getting back together.
When I first came, I think I expected more. And as soon as I got here, like I think within the first year, my dad passed away. So that kind of changed my view and the route of everything that I thought Because for the most part after that, maybe I use the word lightly, it haunted me. And I always thought, okay, so my dad is looking at me from heaven, and every time I'd make a decision or make a move, I'm like, is he disappointed in what I'm doing? Should I be doing something different? And so that was a driving force for me for a long time, to push harder and to aspire for better. Of course, looking back now, harder and better, the definition of that is very different. When I first came, of course, going to school and succeeding and graduating was definitely a goal, which, like I said, I accomplished that. And then everybody had this idea that you go after that, you get into the job market to get a job and you make both lots of money, which I kind of sort of did that. And then enter a situation where my life got changed and I got hit with a medical situation that, totally changed everything around. And so my perspective now, what success is very different. Yes, money does make life easier. I will not dispute that any given day, but there is more to life than just making money. I think at the beginning, even I was in denial. I just thought it was a, one-time happening. There would, recurrence until it became, I was diagnosed and, I had to face the reality that I guess this would be life as I knew it. But then when that, started to be an issue and then my career was in jeopardy of that, then it just gave me a whole new perspective. I think everybody should have a plan B, whatever that entails. Pursue what your passion is and do what you actually want to do or what you think your calling is. Now, as far as my parents and growing up in Kenya, I kept the diagnosis away from them for a very long time because I did not honestly believe that they could understand or even take it. Because a lot of what they believe is, belief in the church and the God system, and you're going to be healed and you're going to be okay. And to this day, people still tell me that. And a part of me still does believe that. I totally don't write it off. I have to find a way to live. And so for a long time, that was very hard for everybody to understand. Understand relationships, and what friendships really do mean, Just somebody saying they're your friend is one thing from somebody actually being a friend. Doing something for somebody one time and, accessibility to, basic services is very good in the US compared to how it is in Kenya. I think we take for granted things like food, water, electricity, healthcare is a problem, not just, in the US, but everywhere across the world, really global issue. So you learn to be grateful with the mere fact that I can just walk into my house somewhere in Atlanta and turn on the lights and boom, there it is. Connect my computer and I have internet connection, those kinds of things. Now, those are basic things. As far as the quality of living, I will take the quality that Kenya provides all day, every day. The fact that, there's family around you, even though I think sometimes it takes some growing up to understand what family eventually does mean. I think a lot of us do take family for granted until we look back and understand, oh, it was not really just about us kids playing and, mom providing and everything else. There's a lot more to it than just that. To have some semblance of a social life and do other things outside of just work. Unlike the US where pretty much life revolves around work, That's the other thing also. Sometimes I think once you leave Kenya and you come and you make some kind of life here, if you don't go back and connect, sometimes I think we lose what it is that we left back. So when you just up and leave and go back, of course, times are changing everywhere, not just the US, but in Kenya as well. So what you may have left and what you remember as a very affectionate thing, whatever that thing is, may not be that anymore.
What's keeping you staying?
For a long time, I think I used the issue of, medical excuse. But when all that has, been removed, then yes, I can pack up and leave because I don't have any hesitation. Because I think that definitely our background shapes a lot of the decisions we make as we grow up, and as we change. So just to be able to maybe understand why your mom does some of the things she does or your parents do some of the things they do and decisions they've made along the way. I think that would provide a very basic understanding of the reason why. I think for the most part, people follow those who came before them are. So, I came here because my family was here. Of course, when we first came, we lived out on the south side of town. And then after I grew up and I figured out my way and I was like, well, I hear this place called Cobb County, So I was like, that's where I'm going to move. I just had a thing for Kennesaw, and once I understood what zip code meant, there was a zip code in my head that was 30144. And for what it's worth, I was gonna die to live in 30144. I really cannot explain why, but that was just something that I felt. But if somebody asked me today, would I pick up and go? Yes, I would. I mean, I think, not to brag, but I think I'm a survivor, really. I mean, if I lived with that, I think I can bounce back some kind of way. It will be difficult, I will be the first to admit. But yes, I think anybody can bounce back.
When you look at it, the times when we sit at the dining table and we're laughing and we're cracking up, I mean, those are the moments I live for, when it's like, hey, we can sit down, laugh, and not that we fight. Or, I mean, I was listening to a story of someone who hadn't talked to their mother for 10 years. I would not like that. That would not be me. Even a couple of times when I don't talk to Ashley in the week, and I'm like, I need to talk to Ashley. I need to call Ashley. I need to check on her.
I'll always be attached to the country, to the people, identify with the country and the people. I will always do that, you know. But in all functionality, this is home, you know. This is where I work. This is where my kids are. This is where I make my money. This is it. This is where I spend 99% of my time. So, home is where you make it, right? That's it.
Trey Bucket is so hot.
His eyes are like two chocolate pools that I could drown in, but like in the good way, you know?
Yeah, I feel like the same way.
I heard that he got a Valentine from every girl in the school.
I heard that last summer he fought a rattlesnake and he won.
No way.
Way. Don't move, he's looking right at us.
Sup? Yo, chill. What's your names?
My name's Brittany.
People call me Toothpick because I clean my teeth.
Right on. Hey, I'm having a birthday bash in my crib. Wanna come?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Cool.
He smells like babies.
I think I'm gonna ask him out. What? Are you serious? You cannot ask him out.
Yeah, you know I like him. He would never like you. Did you see how he winked at me earlier?
What? He winked at me?
No, he didn't.
Fine, then I'll ask him out at the party.
Not if I get there first. Don't talk to me.
Yo, what up, what up?
Hi, Trey. I got you this card.
Well, I got you a box of chocolates.
Yo, thanks to the max. Come on in.
What do you think you're doing?
I'm asking him out, duh.
Cool.
Stop!
Yo, babe, check out those chicks fighting, babe. Yo, what the H?
Babe, are you okay?
No, Prudence, I'm most definitely not okay. Friggin', this is the worst birthday ever! You two, out! Get out of my house!
It's okay. There are plenty be a fish in the sea, you know?
Yeah, I guess you're right, but I'm done with boys. For sure this time.
Yeah. We did go a little berserk there. Let's never do that again.
Hey. Oh, yeah, I'm actually getting ready right now, so I'll see you in a little bit. Oh, okay, yeah, sorry I missed your call. Alright. Bye.
Whenever I go outside, I get panic attacks. A million needles stab my lungs as I try to remember how to breathe. My heart is pounding. It's like I'm suffocating. So, today is my friend's birthday, and I kind of promised to be at her dinner tonight. But I really can't do it. You know, I do the same things every single day. Eat a bunch of snacks, drink colas, watch TV and movies, even play video games. I waste so many days of this short life inside, afraid of what might be out there. I watch as the sun goes down during winter nights. And when the sun has set, no candle can replace it. I feel trapped, hopeless, embarrassed. I have no idea what being normal feels like. I choose to listen to my anxieties. And I choose to be afraid of the outside world. That's why I am choosing to be braver tomorrow. I will step outside. I can step outside. I am brave. I am capable. And so are you. Free anxiety attack helplines and resources that are available include National Alliance on Mental Illness Helpline, 1-800-950-6264.
Alright, so how are you doing today? I'm good, thank you.
Awesome. Okay.
Hopefully that makes the cut. My favorite memory in this home. Man, that's a good question. Okay, yeah, they're working on that. My favorite memory, probably when we found out we were pregnant with our firstborn.
When we first moved here, I didn't have a kid, like I wasn't a parent. So like it is growing with me. I am now a mom and I am a homeowner. I'm a first-time homeowner, and there are other families here who have been very kind and reached out. And just this weekend, somebody dropped off a set of puzzles for the little one. Like I would not have expected. It's just like, here.
Every Halloween, since I give bags out, I count how many kids come by, and we'll get every year between 200 and 250 kids. It's crazy for this neighborhood. And they're all this big to this big, all in costumes, not teenagers up begging for candy. It's all little kids and their parents.
The people of Howell Station are passionate. Everybody cares, sometimes a little too passionately. Respectful of the neighborhood and the historic, features and factors that we have built into the neighborhood, but also interested in investing in the future of the neighborhood and making sure that it remains diverse and that it continues to grow with the development of the park and kind of all things West Atlanta.
We have this Howell Station Neighborhood Association, which is they seem very hardcore. I wasn't expecting that. So I welcome it. And also I'm like, oh, okay. There's so much to learn about the politics of this particular neighborhood.
My son lived on Tilden in an apartment, in a house that was split up into, it was a bunch of roommates together. And I said, Gibson, where is this neighborhood? I don't think I've ever heard of it. And I thought, as a native Atlantan, that I knew every little neighborhood. And he said, I said, I don't. So anyway, he told me, and I came over here and I said, oh, Gibson, this looks a little scary. And he said, don't worry, Mom, we have a big dog in the back. And he's a Great Dane. Well, that got my interest. But it didn't lead to anything until I watch real estate. I'm not in real estate, but I watch everything. And I saw the houses we're buying and selling. We're turning over. And then Gibson said, why don't you just drive into the neighborhood? It's really nice. And I did, because I'm not a scared person. I'll drive anywhere almost. And I thought, this is a cute neighborhood. And I saw the Northwest Baptist Church, and I thought, oh, this is just incredible. This is a piece of history. I love history. So I looked at a house down the street. It was too small. This house was being totally renovated on the inside. And I thought, wow, I could actually afford that house. I can't afford Grant Park. I can't afford Candler Park. I certainly can't afford Inman Park. I can't afford anywhere.
I don't think we would be able to afford Howell Station. Now, it is different for sure, but there's still a lot of families that have been here since we've been here. You definitely see, I think, kind of the creep of the city coming towards us, and so that has definitely had kind of an effect on the neighborhood.
They've done so much development along West Marietta Street, the main street right in front of here. They made pretty significant progress with the Beltline too, and they picked that project up, even though it stalled for a period of time. Also, it's just Atlanta's one of the fastest growing cities, so you're seeing a lot more traffic around here in general.
Okay, so the next question is, what are your thoughts on the gas station?
Residents in the historic Howell Station neighborhood of Atlanta are speaking out against a gas station that they say is being built illegally. A group of protesters out near the property today say the gas station will sit too close to residential property and should not be allowed. Some property owners near the construction say they plan to sell.
My thoughts on the gas station are mixed. Of course, it's unfortunate that, traffic patterns as it pertains to dumping right into the neighborhood weren't taken into more deep consideration. It kind of feels like it wasn't designed with the flow of the neighborhood in mind, but development is inevitable. We are all, looking forward to the higher property values and the benefits and the amenities that the park is going to bring. And, some of those benefits are going to be considered less desirable to current residents because they're more desirable to neighborhood passer-throughers or visitors. So unfortunately, it's not going to be just everything that we want along the way. So comes with the park, both benefit and some kind of heartache too.
I actually bought the house to begin with because I had this idea that in a neighborhood, especially like this one at the time, I thought it would be a great idea to have a house where kids could go, and I thought it could be something where you tie in with Teach for America, where you have two people live in the house and one's a tutor and one's an art teacher. And I thought it could be like a neighborhood community type house for kids. And because I feel like parents are working so hard and things are really tough and trying to get kids' homework done and things like that when everybody's working, trying to put food on the table and a roof over their house. So I thought that would be a good idea. I still think it's a good idea. But then I got a divorce, so I needed the house. So I ended up moving.
Opening a business is definitely not for the faint of heart, particularly in the city of Atlanta. They make it quite difficult. But we were the third brewery in Atlanta at the time when we opened, so I don't think they really knew what to do with us when we were trying to get all of our alcohol licenses lined up. But particularly in the early stages, being so close to the brewery is just helpful because I'm there so often. And, early on, I would be the one who would, if the alarm went off at the brewery, I'd get in the car and go check on it. And since it's 5 minutes away, I can do that. I just bring our dog and hope that everything's okay. It's also just nice, I think, community-wise, because we're also the closest brewery to our neighborhood, and so a lot of neighbors know Monday night, and it's just a really, it's kind of why we got into the business of brewing, was to help people connect with each other and help foster community. And I feel like being kind of in the heart of where you live, work, and play, and having all that together is really helpful. Just living with people and getting to know them and what they do for a living. I mean, I live right next door to a structural engineer who has helped us with structural engineering on the brewery. I live right next door to the head of partnerships for the Giving Kitchen, a nonprofit, and we've worked very closely with them because of that. And I've actually been able to attend some really cool, food experiences with our neighbors. Right here, actually, two neighbors ago, the couple that lived there, the guy's name was Ryan, and he was a bartender of a Dave & Buster's, but I knew he homebrewed, and he ended up starting at a just low-level job at Monday Night, and he's now our head brewer. And that never would have happened without Howell Station. But he's making some of the best beer in the city.
So I'm, excited about the couple of folks, but I actually expected there to be I expected it to be much more diverse. And it seems to not be. Maybe it's socioeconomically diverse, but in terms of race, I think it's a little lacking. So then, that makes me think about, well, what's happening here? I know, what's his name, Mr. Mr. Charlie down the street, right, like 3-4 houses down. I know he's been here for ages, but like, what happened to his other folks or neighbors or whatever, you know? Like, what is this? Who are these people?
I don't know if, why I was the first to start a Black Lives Matter protest in the neighborhood necessarily. My roles and responsibility as it pertains to listening to the Black Lives Matter movement and trying to learn as much as I can personally were a huge priority and continue to remain a huge priority to me. And I think that what I was hearing from neighbors were that because of COVID particularly, they were feeling timid to go downtown and show their support, or timid to join in some broader protest, or they wanted to do something that was, family oriented, that they could bring young children to. And so for all of those reasons, it just seemed like the best thing to do was create a situation where anyone in our neighborhood would feel comfortable coming and standing with us and learning more about the movement and being a more active participant. And it doesn't have to mean go downtown and stand with the protesters there, that we can kind of do our own thing and make sure that our voices are heard.
The big difference I see is the neighborhood activism. Very active, extremely active. In your face, no gas station.
I would say it's like having an eagle nest in every house, because the mothers, they're watching the neighborhood. So I don't have to do anything anymore. They watch and make sure if somebody comes in that they don't think lives in the neighborhood, looks like they might be causing trouble, they get on that neighborhood website and they walk them, computer to computer until they know they're gone.
Before it was a matter of getting babysitters, but I think now it's more of, since we can stay home more, we have more flexibility in our schedules. So we basically just swap and go out as needed.
I had 2 cats, but when my best friend died, he had a cat. And so I now have his cat as well, which is too many, but that's what I have. And then I have, I feed 2 outside.
We have had 18 dogs since Jeff and I got together. We've been together 30 years. We had 18 dogs. We have the ashes of all but 4 of them in there because they all lived to be happy old age. We didn't lose any young. They all lived old and happy. And we used to have little miniature pinchers. In fact, we raised a batch. We got a male and a female, and we bred our first batch. That's how we ended up with so many, because I fell in love with the puppies and couldn't part with many of them. So we just went crazy. We had as many as 9 dogs at one time at one point here. But then over time, because we're in between the Humane Society and Lifeline, what used to be just called Animal Control, we found that people were going to Animal Control to surrender their dogs, and discovering there was a $35 surrender fee, they would just dump their dogs out in this neighborhood. So we just started taking in the ones that were dumped. So our last 5 dogs, the 4 in and Rufus, who we lost, were all just dumped in the neighborhood. And we could not be, and as far as my relationship with them, me and my dogs. They don't even have to ask. I love my dogs, and you can tell just by all the stuff I put up with, they come first with me. I love my dogs. Oh, we have 3 cats too. They'd be a little irritated I didn't bring them up. So we have 3 cats as well. So. we had a couple aquariums at one point. I set up a saltwater, which was more work than it was worth, and we had a big freshwater. But I sent that over across the street to Simone and Donovan. We have a bird, and I've learned that cockatiels live a lot longer than I thought they would. I have no idea. We've had this one for maybe 17 years.
I think we tried to make this neighborhood a place where we actually lived and not just slept, if that makes sense. So like, I'd hope we were remembered for getting to know neighbors and, having dinners with them and just kind of living life.
Honestly, I would want them to know, like, that's that house where those 2 lesbians lived. The 2 Black lesbians that had the Stacey Abrams campaign sign up for like a year and a half after the campaign was over. And that's okay. Like, we're both, we're 2 educators and we're 2 like upwardly mobile Black women who wanted to raise their family in the city of Atlanta, and were able to do that. and it's possible. You know, like it's possible to live in the city as a Black person, as a Black queer person. Absolutely.
Providing my family, myself, my kids as a way to play around with people and to meet new people and to have fun.
If I were to leave Howell Station today, I would just want to be remembered as a good neighbor, somebody who was an active participant in the things that impacted the neighborhood, somebody who was an active participant in things that impact our city and our country and our world, and somebody who just really, brought value to the neighborhood and maybe a couple laughs along the way too.
I started cooking chicken for all the neighborhood dogs to come by. Our good friend and neighbor Lena, who we just lost to moving recently, she actually got me a t-shirt that had a Chicken Man printed on it. It's got the neighborhood logo here and Chicken Man printed on the back. So that's how I'd be remembered.
You know, I like having a lot of people, and I really like having a variety of people. That before I moved here, that was something that we used to do when we lived over in Ainsley, and I loved it because we'd have artists and doctors and you know.
It just made me a better citizen. Living in Howell Station has made me a better citizen.
Excuse me?
Welcome to your coma.
Wait, what?
You are Matthew Turner, right?
Yeah.
Perfect, right on time.
Right on time for what?
Your coma, dear. Now, here's some things you have to know.
Look, lady, the only coma that I'm in is on my buddy's couch somewhere hungover. This is just a weird dream.
Well, you're at least half right. Now, here's what you need to do to get out of here.
Yeah, I'm in a coma. Some hospital bed. Sure.
Honey, it'd be best if you just believed me and moved on.
How to get out of your coma. Number 1, find out why you're here. Number 2, understand your consequences. Number 3, repent. Look, lady, I'm not here for some Sunday school lesson or whatever you think this is.
It's in your hands now. You can go out and wander for all I care.
You know what, you're right. I do want to find out why I'm here. But don't expect any come to Jesus moments.
Oh, believe me, I don't. You forgot your paper, hun.
This is whack.
You might want to head that way.
What the? Find out why you're here. Kevin?
Matt?
Holy crap. Dude, it's good to see you. I'm glad I'm not the only one going crazy, right?
God, I know. That party last night, though, crazy. You were hammered.
Yeah, man, I could barely remember what happened, so you know it was good.
Oh, I know. I don't even know where we are right now. That's how good it was.
Yeah. It's weird, man. Some lady was trying to tell me that I was in a coma. Yo, you hear that, Dev? Dev.
I don't know why either of them thought that was a good idea.
Helen? Alex?
It is my fault. I shouldn't have let them leave. They claimed they were drunk and I didn't think twice.
Hey! I'm right here, okay?
Can't blame yourself for that. They probably wouldn't have listened to you anyway.
They might have. And then there would be two 22-year-olds who died before their parents got to the hospital.
Look, what they did it themselves. Thank God they went into a tree and not another car. It's not your fault. Let's make way for the nurses.
Hey, Helen! Hey, this is not your fault, okay? Look! I don't know if that list was bogus or what, but I will never touch another bottle ever again, okay? I'll talk to people at school. I'll do whatever it takes, but please, I need to get out of here. I gotta be able to tell Helen that this isn't her fault. Please. If she thinks this is on her, it will break her. I just need to get out of here. I just need to live.
Welcome back, Mr. Turner. You're a walking miracle. Congratulations. Looks like you're good to go.
Wait, seriously?
Completely.
Thank you.
Janet.
Thank you, Janet.
My name is Kartika Ramaswamy.
I'm Maha Islam.
My name is Mava Julian.
Swati Ramaswamy.
Noah Stevens.
I'm 17 years old.
17 years old.
I am 12 years old.
Almost 19.
I am 17 years old.
in middle school, I think that's like when the insecurity starts to happen because everyone all of a sudden becomes hyper aware of how they look and how they act. I just wanted to be the it girl. I wanted to be cool. I wanted to be Hannah Montana. I wanted to be the girls from Girl Meets World. I wanted to be them. I had this grandiose version of what high school was going to be like and what I thought my life was going to be like. I thought I'd have like this amazing wardrobe and that everyone would know me and life would be easy breezy beautiful. That's what I thought it would be. And it definitely put so much pressure on me to not just be myself. Like I bought makeup when I was 11 or 12. I wanted to be, the face of a Disney Channel show,
If we're talking about like representation, it took 18 years for me to find, a single show with a dark-skinned main character. And that came out this year. It was the first show I've seen with an Indian main character. Not only was she Indian, she was dark-skinned. She was South Indian.
She's like I've never seen a Tamil girl in media. It's always kind of been like lighter skin, Eurocentric, westernized culture.
So as a kid, I was never able to have a dark-skinned role model growing up.
This is something I've been thinking about recently, how these things that I was accustomed to watching and seeing, how they affected me as I grew up. I didn't even realize how much time I spent. This is something I don't like admitting, but I didn't even realize how much time I spent wishing I was white for a day. And it's sad to think. It's sad to think about now, but that was something I always grew up with. So yeah, I think, seeing only light skin on TV and, in the media, in advertisements, it pressures you to look like that because you think you have to be that to be anything.
I don't think I've ever once seen a dark-skinned East Asian person. Like when you have East Asians in media, you just think like Chinese, Japanese, Korean. But how many times have they shown like a dark-skinned Vietnamese person or the Philippines? Like
Nepali,
you don't see
Bhutan,
them.
Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia. I don't know. It feels like
erasure.
Yeah.
In middle school, I remember for girls, it was mainly Kylie Jenner. Remember like the lip challenge thing? Jake Paul. Everyone wanted to be a savage.
20 jalapenos or taser. Let's do this, baby.
Cut class. They wouldn't do their assignment. They'd be like, oops, sorry, forgot my homework. I'm a savage, basically. It was, you wanted to look like a Kardashian, but you wanted to act like Jake Paul. So, I mean, where is the positive in that? Like Erica Costello in the Team 10, they love Team 10. Tessa Brooks in Team 10, they were obsessed, and that was just like their identity. And there's also a divide between like celebrities and then just influencers, because celebrities will do anything to keep their reputation up. But when it comes to influencers, they just have this like I think they just think they have no accountability because their followers will support them no matter what. And I don't know if it's narcissism, I don't know what it really is, but it's so much easier to support influencers because you have a more direct access to them. Because I can't access Emma Stone. I can't access Ryan Gosling. I can't access John Legend. I can't access Beyonce. You can't, but under Jake Paul's, comment section, technically I am accessing him, right? I can DM him, I can talk to him, he has Q&As with his followers and whatever.
I'm a YouTube guy. But it's really bad because I'll just like look and sometimes I'll spend like 2 minutes just refreshing a page to see if I can catch something new. The more you use it, the more of a grip it has on you. And like that's why my family, we always do a fast every once in a while. I would be getting a bunch of ads about quick ways to get cash online. And it'd be like one dude talking about how he didn't go to college and he found this online upstarting company. Now I'm getting these ads that are like, it starts with a guy holding a stack of cash, and then he'll be like, "Now I can give this to you, or I can teach you how to make it." Young buff man doing something that anyone, like any other young man, would probably like to do, and then he'll be like, "Yep, you got to do this in order to live the same lifestyle as me," and then pushes you to think like, "Oh, this must be like what the goal is for a man in general. Like this is something that I have to do in order to live my life comfortably, or this is something that guys will do when they have money."
The video clips on the popular app TikTok turning regular folks into social media stars.
TikTok is the new social video app making some serious waves.
In as little as 15 seconds, creators lip sync, dance, and perform, all with the hopes of getting noticed. This is TikTok.
I think there is so much emphasis on being pretty privileged, and basically because TikTok will just push all the prettiest people to the front, and they're all pretty much white.
When you think of the name TikTok, you really think of the few people that are in the Sway House and the Hype House, and they don't really have a lot of diversity in those houses. It's mostly all white people. I don't think it's right because I think there are a lot of young kids looking up to them now, but they really only show people of their own color.
The internet can be kind of scary sometimes. It's not all bad. It definitely has its pluses, but like there's a bunch of stuff that wouldn't necessarily benefit a growing generation because kids are so impressionable. Kids from a very young age start asking for phones, and it's because they want to immerse themselves into the culture. I definitely believe that social media and the internet, it is our culture.
Technology is just so available to everyone that it's pretty, nowadays I'd say it's pretty uncommon to see kids not knowing how to use like an iPad or an iPhone or even like simple computers, just because that stuff has gotten so widespread.
You know, like all the babies nowadays are like if you go to a restaurant and your baby is like, meh, you can just give him your phone and he'll be like, tick, 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 and he already knows how to like type before he can speak. So like, you know, that's also part of your culture, I think.
I know third graders now that have phones. They have, you know, their sister's hand-me-down Surface. And it's a lot. It's ridiculous.
It would be heartbreaking for a third grader to already feel self-conscious about their body or their skin color or their eye color or how much money their parents have or what type of car their parents drive. If they go through that process of growing up so much faster than how we did it, it'll only make them feel worse.
Hello, I'm Alicia Malone from Turner Classic Movies, and beginning this month, TCM is showcasing Women Make Film with an epic series celebrating the work of female filmmakers. Alongside the documentary series made by Mark Cousins called Women Make Film, a new road movie through cinema, we're screening 100 different films from 100 different female filmmakers from across the globe. And we're so excited to be partnering with Reimagine ATL to help support the next generation of female filmmakers. Entrants from their no comment program were asked to submit their work to have the chance to feature their narrative or documentary movies on TCM's YouTube page, alongside winning a fantastic package. And I have the great pleasure of announcing the winners. In the documentary category, it is Growing Up Gen Z by Nyla Julian. And in the narrative category, Ode to Cutlery by Sam Stewart. And before we watch the films, let's take a look at a conversation I had with Nyla and Sam. Nyla Julian, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Well, your documentary, Growing Up Gen Z, feels also like a horror film to me, just imagining what it must be like to grow up in the world of social media today. So how did you come up with the idea for this movie? Was it from your peers?
Basically, what had happened was I decided my junior year, I'm a senior now, but my junior year I decided to take a break from social media. And I did that for academic reasons, but afterwards I felt like so much more satisfied with my life, and like I saw my self-esteem raising and things like that. And it made me think about how my generation is kind of the first to grow up with all these media influences that are like bombarding us from every angle. So I basically got my friends together and we kind of had a conversation, and I wanted to see if they felt the same way, and it turns out that they did.
Yeah, I like the way you edited this film, because it does feel like, as a viewer, you are being bombarded with images in the same way that you are when you go on social media, just one image after another. So when it came to the look of the film, were you inspired by any particular filmmakers or other films?
I would say that the style that I kind of went for came out of not being able to replicate the what I wanted to do, because originally I'd planned to kind of shoot it in the style of like Michael Moore and just kind of like be really involved in it. But because of like my restrictions with like COVID-19, stuff like that, I was kind of forced to focus on my own editing and not so much like shooting and things like that. So I kind of had to redirect after facing lots of obstacles due to the current state of the world, I guess.
What did the process of making this film teach you?
I think it taught me a lot about just storytelling in general, because I never made a documentary before, and it was kind of a learn as I went along process of how to tell a story in a form that's not really the same as like a narrative where it's all coming from your head. I had to learn how to piece together what was already there and make it cohesive, and I think that is a really good skill that I learned.
Yeah, it's very impressive, the work that you've done. So how did you get involved with Reimagine ATL?
I just happened to come across Reimagine from a Google search, and I saw like the things that they were planning on going over the course of the year, and it was just like the perfect thing at the perfect time. So I knew I had to apply and just get that help to really dive into filmmaking.
And what are your ambitions and goals in life? What do you hope to do in the future?
I would love to just showcase people of color and other minorities in different stories that they aren't typically represented in, and just show that any story can be relatable with any person as the main character, and they don't have to fit into some stereotypical stories that have been typically designed for them, or like the niche that has been created for them. They can be in anything that they would like to be seen in.
See, you are the reason why I have optimism about our future when it comes to films.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see what you continue to do. Nyla Julian, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sam Stewart, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I really enjoyed watching your film, Ode to Cutlery. It's such a unique way to talk about identity and fitting in and how we judge people. So how did you come up with this idea, in particular using cutlery?
It began as an application to Chapman University's film school, And it's really competitive to get in, so I knew I wanted to do something really out of the box. So I figured maybe the characters don't even have to be human, but I can't do animation. And I remembered seeing these really cool fork and spoon and sport costumes online. So I figured I could convince my friends to dress up in those.
It works so well, and it's interesting that there's no dialogue at all throughout the film. So talk about your approach to making the film, and if you were inspired by any particular films or filmmakers.
I think this particular film, I was kind of inspired by Wes Anderson, just with the out-of-the-box creativity and the bright colors, because I really do like to do that with my films. But in general, I really just try to develop my own style and try to do something that I know no one else has done before.
Yeah, I've never seen a movie like this, which is what is so exciting to see. You know, it's exciting to see the creative spark that you have, and it thinking about the future that you're going to go on to as a filmmaker. So how did you get involved with Reimagine ATL?
I knew I wanted to go to film school, but it's difficult to get in, and I didn't really know anything about filmmaking. So I heard about the fellowship called No Comment, and I applied and I got in. So then I started working with them over the summer, and they were gracious enough to let me use the rec center where we meet and their equipment to shoot this film.
So what did that whole process and making this film teach you?
It taught me everything about like scheduling and getting a cast together and just trying to network and get as many people as you can. And I basically did everything by myself for this. Like I came up with the idea and the shot list and everything. So it was really nice to just say that like I did this.
What are your goals and ambitions?
I'm currently in film school, so I'd like to make films while I'm in school and enter them into festivals. And I really hope that I can get noticed, so when I graduate, I can make the films that I want to make.
Well, you are on your way. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Please join us every Tuesday from September 1st through to December 1st on TCM as we celebrate the work of female filmmakers. And you can also check out the collection on HBO Max of movies made by women. To learn more, visit tcm.com/womenmakefilm.
Due to the coronavirus, schools have shut down, leaving many children who rely on school lunches to wonder where their next meal will come from. Luckily, Gwinnett County is providing school lunches and delivering them by bus stop. This program wouldn't be possible without the countless amount of bus drivers, helpers, and food personnel who make and deliver the lunches. Here is Harry, the transportation supervisor for Norcross, and Jim, a bus driver, talking more about this program.
The process that we go through for this food delivery is a joint effort with Gwinnett County and the food service personnel to be able to deliver food to the children at each individual bus stop for the middle school. We do this each day. Starting this week is a breakfast and a lunch combination for them to have for their food. The parents and students are meeting us at the bus stop. So food personnel are preparing the food here at the schools and then delivering them by bus with a helper on the bus to take them to each bus stop for the children.
I've been driving for Gwinnett County Public Schools for about 5 years. I think in the first week, Gwinnett County Public Schools gave out more than 100,000 lunches. It's hard to believe.
A lot of the children and most of the parents are very appreciative of this, and they feel like if we did not have this program in place, that some of them might actually miss a lunch or a breakfast during the day. So I think this is a tremendous asset to the citizens of Gwinnett County and the children of Gwinnett County.
It's such a blessing to be able to do this. There are so many needy students. A lot of the kids rely on school for most of the food they eat. Okay, so it's very important. It's very satisfying because I tell you what, especially the little teeny kids, they just love it. Big smile. So that's my favorite part.
Create.
I want the truth to come out. You know what I'm saying? Every time I speak, I want to shiver. You know, I don't want them to be like, they know what I'm going to say because it's polite. They know what I'm going to say. And even if I get in trouble, you know what I'm saying? Ain't that what we're supposed to do? I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us. We might not be the ones, but let's not be selfish, and because we're not going to change the world, let's not talk about how we should change it. I don't know how to change it, but I know if I keep talking about how dirty it is out here, somebody's going to clean it up.
So I'm the entrepreneur of my lifestyle brand, Black Vibe Tribe. I created it when I was 14 years old, and that's a lifestyle brand that I created with the intention to connect, love, uplift, and build with those deriving from the African diaspora. I'm also the founder of an organization called The Youth Will Be Alright, where I donate composition notebooks to incarcerated youth. I grew up in a very loving and supporting and nourishing family where I was really, taught that all of my dreams and aspirations, as long as I put the work in and as long as I followed them, I was always going to have that backing and support. From a very young age, I was taught to just love myself and embrace myself and stand in my truth and be unapologetically, authentically me. I was born in the DMV area. But we moved when I was maybe about 7, so it was less of my decision and more of my parents' decision. My dad grew up in Atlanta, so I think we moved down here, and at the time I was pursuing my dream as an actress. So, you know, Atlanta had a lot more going on in that arena than the DMV area did. So it allowed me to follow my dreams in that area as well. I love to create. I'm actually a creative and idea person at like the core of me. Like that's just something I've always been interested in. I love words. I'm an avid reader and writer, so any way I can write poetry or create a design or, you know, a mock-up or whatever, just being able to have that outlet to just create, watch my ideas be brought to fruition, that's just something that I've always loved to do. So I feel like there's an intersection between it of me being a creative and me loving to express myself and wanting to put my statements and my words and my designs out there, but also growing up the way I did, just embracing my history, my people, where I come from. I wanted to provide a platform for us, and I feel like Black Vibe Tribe is like the love letter to my community in a sense, where I wanted to bring awareness to our history and who we are and that we come from greatness and royalty and what we derive from. So I think it was this like balance of it's something that I really am passionate about, but it's also something that I wanted to do for my community and my people. I would say my why or my inspiration is really the love I have for my people and myself. I always had an infatuation from like a very young age with all the revolutionary greats who came before us. So like the Malcolm X, the Marcus Garvey, Assata Shakur, Septima Clark, Nina Simone, all of these greats, how they were able to utilize their words, their platforms, their passions to really build this legacy that we were left with. So whether it be their speeches or how they carried themselves or, you know, how they were able to utilize their influence to really spark, you know, this generation. I always said I wanted to do the same. I wanted to emulate that and leave my legacy as they did. I love how many people I've been able to impact or reach. You know, my tribe has grown to be so expansive, and when people reach out to me, whether it be an email, a customer message, a DM, however, and they say, you know, this statement is like what I feel about it or how it relates back to us or what it's really done for me or made me feel or, you know, just the relatability of it all. Just knowing that I've been able to touch somebody or to spark something in someone, that alone is so, it just makes me feel good. You know, I always go back to this Tupac quote that I love where he said, I may not be the one to change the world, but I can assure you I will spark the mind of someone who will change the world. So when I know that my work has touched somebody or inspired them or sparked something in them, that is just like the feel-good moment for me.
My name is Sicarius. I'm an artist in Atlanta. The earth is alive and it has a soul. We're all a part of that soul. So find what you do and do you.
I feel like the system was never created for us. I feel like it was created maybe to oppress or suppress our voices. And I feel like that system is so deeply embedded in history and it has this long, a very extensive history that I could get into, but I don't choose so much to focus on that, but instead how I can amplify our voices when the system may be trying to suppress them. I'm going to continue to dismantle all of the oppressive systems in place as I can, and in terms build up more platforms that will help us thrive. So many things, to be honest. Like, I should make a book of quotes that they, you know, that they've told me, but I think one thing that they really instilled in me more than anything else is just be authentic. That you don't have to always aspire or strive to sit at anybody else's table because you can create your own. That you'll never have to sacrifice any piece of who you are, who Trinity Simone is, her values, what she stands for, who she is. You should never, nor should never sacrifice that for anything or anyone. So I just think they really instilled in me to be you, be authentic, be unapologetic, you know, be who you are, because we do derive from so many amazing things, royalty, greatness, you know, it just runs through our DNA. So why would you ever attempt to be something else?
I started like first taking pictures when like I just got a new phone and then I just wanted to test the camera. But then like I just kept doing it. I made an Instagram for it. A lot of people started saying like it was really good and I should try like taking it further, and then I decided to take it a little further and see what I could go with it a little bit, but at the same time I was still taking pictures with the phone. And then I purchased a camera, and then that just changed everything, and you know, I'm a portrait photographer mainly now.
So you like working with people?
Yeah, I love working with people now. But I used to be really like shy and like introverted back then, so. But now things have changed since then. So. And then people started taking me a lot more seriously, and then people started like booking me, like actually booking me and stuff. And I was just like, I don't know, everything came like really fast, but it was really cool. And like, that's when I realized that like I really wanted to do it. And I just fell in love with meeting all these people and, you know, like just taking their pictures and creating memories for them like to remember later on. I think that's really dope. So. I'm 17 years old.
All right, and where are you from?
I was born in London, but I was raised in Atlanta. Growing up I feel like it was a pretty average life. It wasn't anything crazy, but my parents did travel a lot. So I have 2 older sisters, and we're all kind of close, but we did grow a little distant over the years. But I think all around, like growing up, I was pretty normal. I was pretty average. I wasn't really like anything crazy, but nothing like too serious either. So I think my dad does everything that he can to support my interests. My mom, she doesn't really like it, but I mean, I feel like one day she'll understand. But my dad and my sister Sandra are my biggest fans. I have another sister. She supports me, but she's also like very realistic. So she tries to, you know, like make sure that I know like this is what I want, and like it's not just like a phase or anything. But yeah, I think most of my family support me, but you know, some of them are getting there. Yeah. My biggest inspiration is my sister Sandra. She's just very, very outgoing and artistic, and growing up I wasn't really like that, and then she introduced me to like meeting new people and to like express myself in different ways that I never thought I could. So she really taught me how to be more artistic with things rather than just words. In photography and visually, I express myself mainly in the way that I edit my pictures rather than the style of me taking them. Sometimes I like to completely change the image in its own. I use a lot of Photoshop sometimes, but sometimes I'll just switch the lighting. If it's like moody, I'm not genuinely a happy person, so I try to make my pictures have a lot of color and vibrance. Hopefully in the future, I want to own different studios in major cities. I want to like start my own chain eventually when I'm like older, but right now I just want to stay in the realm of just photography and visual arts and art directing and create a platform on it. Instagram is like my main platform, but I would love to like branch out of different social media sites. 'Cause social media now is like such a big part of growth and things like that. So I would just love to create a platform for myself in photography. I definitely felt exhausted before, and I have felt discouraged before just because I felt like I could always just do better and I don't sometimes, and don't really know why, but exhausted is probably what I feel the most, just because like sometimes I'm like a perfectionist sometimes, and like it could really just wear myself out, and like I'll just kind of like take a break from it, and I hate taking breaks from that because it's something I love to do, but like sometimes I feel like when I'm too exhausted, I just have to. But I'd say what really like drives me is knowing that I could really do something with it, and that knowing that some people really have come up to me and said that like now they're like inspired by making their own, turning their passions into businesses and turning what they love to do, just like a hobby, into something serious. Because now it's like there's so many opportunities to do that, and I think what really drives me is the fact that I have the ability to reach out to so many people and to create memories for people and help people with it, like if they're trying to be a model or something, and give them that type of experience. I think knowing that I can help others in this way is something that I love to do, and that's really cool. So it's definitely probably my biggest drive. I think I affect my community in terms of like how people are now, like some of my own friends are now turning their passions into businesses, and some of them want to try out way more things that like I never thought they would want to try out, and some of them are photographers now, some of them are videographers, and some of them are into makeup, and some of them are trying to be makeup enthusiasts and things like that, and I think that's really cool that that they see me as like an inspiration in terms of that. I think also in terms for my community, in terms of that, I feel like my community has definitely grown and changed a lot. And I feel like I helped in terms of like showing people that your passion can become a business and your passion can become more than just a hobby. So I feel like I affected it in that way.
All clear. Operation Great Changers to go. Wait. See anything out of the ordinary, Ricky Bobby?
No, Alex, it's a Saturday. Can we just get this over with?
I will only be addressed by my code name.
No, Golden Ray. No one's here.
Macho Maverick, you're supposed to be out of sight.
What's with the stupid nicknames?
They're mandatory for the mission, Macho Maverick.
They're really not.
Yes, they are.
Okay, Aiden, focus.
It's Alex.
Just get us in the office computer, we'll change my grade, you'll both get your $50 and we're out of here. Can you handle that?
I can handle anything.
We're not amateurs, Rowan. You put your academic fate into good hands. All right, team, move out. Shh. We have to sneak. We could be seen.
Just walk like a normal dude, Adam.
It's Alex.
You're embarrassing yourself.
Pipsqueak.
The 3-year difference won't be so bad once we're in our 20s. Live long game. I'm good at waiting. Need some help?
Proper stealth work takes time. Take notes, sis.
Just move. Take notes, bro.
Well, get in there.
I'm going. Jeez.
Booby traps! Get in the grade book. Wait. Gloves.
Right.
Really? Fingerprints.
I'm in.
I'm running out of time. Change my last history test grade from a 42 to a 62.
You want me to change a 42 to a 62? You're trying to pass, right?
That is passing. Make it happen. Hey! Where's our $50? You actually thought I was gonna pay you? Damn, you're gullible, Aaron.
His name is Alex.
Whatever. Wow. He's really not the sharpest knife in the drawer, is he?
What are you talking about?
We've got 60 seconds until security gets here, and there's a fire escape on the roof. You with me, or not?
You didn't deserve me anyway.
Operation Grade Changer, Scene 1, Take 1. Scene 2, Buttered Croissant, Take 1. Scene 4, Alphabet Soup, Take 1. Scene 4, Corona, Take 1. Action.
Hey!
All right, a little bit more in, Lisa. A little bit down. A little bit more over. Nope, up. Why are they yelling down in the street?
Wait! Get in the grade book.
You're trying to pass, right?
I'm so sorry. You're so considerate.
Good, cut.
Dude, why would you do something like that? Who even thinks about doing something like that?
It's not my fault she wouldn't help me in the first place.
I swear, you're one crazy person, man.
Oh, that's my cue. I'll catch you later, okay?
Okay, and don't do her dirty like that next time.
Bro, where are you? You gotta be here soon. Mom's gonna be pissed.
Hey, man. If you don't mind, I'd like to ask you something real quick.
Okay, what's up?
You see, that girl you were talking to just then, is she your friend?
Yeah, we work together. Why?
No reason. Do you know what time she gets off?
Dude, I ain't comfortable giving out her info like that. Why don't you just ask her yourself? Yeah, sorry. Some weirdo just walked up on me.
What a day. This job is gonna kill me. What's this? Where did this come from? Where do these keep coming from? Hello? Hey, can you tell me who works here? Someone took a photo of me from this building? My bad, I'm just stressed. And a lot's going on. I just don't exactly...
I understand. The only workers I have are Tyler, Emily, Terrence, Reginald...
Terrence! That name sounds familiar. Where is he?
He's in the back right now. Terrence!
Terrence, what's wrong with you, man? I don't see you for 3 years, and this is the way you choose to reconnect, or?
Tabria? I know this is weird, but I didn't know how to start talking to you again, and...
I don't know what. You mean you don't know how to start talking to me again after I dumped you in high school for acting like a creep? Looks like I made the right call.
Hey, Tabria. That's not necessary. I promise I'll leave you alone from now on.
Don't worry about it, dude. You could have just called or DM'd me. You didn't have to do all the extra stuff.
I guess I was just nervous. I mean, we had ended things pretty badly.
You want to have lunch? Maybe we could catch up or something. So you're in school for graphic design? That's crazy.
Yeah, I love it. But unfortunately, the tuition is insane. That's why I started working at the Bar's Bakery Corporation.
Dang, isn't it crazy that we're adults now?
Yeah. You know, I'm glad you decided to still talk to me after all that creepy stalker stuff.
It's fine, but next time just talk to me like a person. It's been so many years I wasn't gonna be angry with you.
Yeah.
I'm Lacey Epstein.
I'm Steve Epstein.
And we homeschool our 3 children. Well, we are accidental homeschoolers. We had full intentions of sending our kids to public school, and we even bought a house in a neighborhood where the elementary school had a good reputation, and all the kids walked to school with their parents, and there's big community supporting the school, and that's what our intention was.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Wait just a minute. There's something I gotta tell you before we go on. When I set out to make this documentary, it was supposed to be about why parents chose to homeschool. See, that was in October of 2019, when you had a choice to homeschool. How can I possibly be expected to stay in on a day like this?
So let's get right to it. Our top story, the new developments in the coronavirus.
The number of cases in the U.S. jumped again overnight to at least 102,000, with 1,600 deaths now.
Over in Italy, the government is resorting to a drastic measure. They're putting a quarter of the population on lockdown.
Tokyo has recorded its highest number of new daily cases.
Now, understandably, we've been asked to stay inside, and all the schools have been shut down, and they're either doing online classes or more homework. But doesn't that mean every kid is now homeschooled?
Hi, I'm Graham. I'm a junior at TNS, the new school, Atlanta. It's a private school, and ever since quarantine, I've been at my house, and we do Zoom calls from 9 until 3:30. First impressions are, it's not too bad. For me, I have been able to focus a lot better in class because there's not many people around me, and the way that I get distracted is I see someone on my left, see someone on my right, and then I'm like, oh, whisper, oh, mix up my Rubik's Cube for me, and then I'll solve it, and then I'll give it to you again, and you'll mix it up again, and I'll solve it. And so I think in that aspect, it's actually increased my attentiveness in class, which is really good. My focus out of class has also for some reason gotten better, like homework wise. Maybe it's because I have more time, maybe it's just because I'm not like physically doing stuff, not walking around school and all that type of stuff. So I'm much more awake, I guess. So I get homework done faster, and I do it not at 9 or 10 p.m. Yeah. Like I'll be playing video games, and for some reason I'll just be like, oh yeah. Even though normally I'd want to keep playing video games, I'll just finish this homework up, and then I'll play video games for another hour, and then I'll go to bed. Like, I'm still adjusting, of course, like physically and mentally, but like adjusting kind of, in the way of getting used to the teaching style. I've got used to that pretty much within the first week.
So now the whole world is homeschooled. But before the pandemic, why would you choose to homeschool?
That's what we're doing.
So for me, it was about thinking about my experiences in school, from elementary school all the way through college, that first and foremost, I was trying to make a grade. I was trying to follow the rules and play the game and get the grades, and it wasn't really about a lot of learning for me. And I just figured that homeschooling could be a path to something different, where what you wanted to learn and what you were interested in could take precedence over, making sure you got that grade and filled in that bubble sheet.
My name is Madeline Rains, and I unschooled my 2 sons. I decided to homeschool because I lived on a farm in an hour outside of Atlanta, and the school that was down the street, that was acclaimed as one of the best schools in Georgia, was really small. They said they were really small, but there were trailers all over the place in the yard, and the principal had the right to paddle the kids.
I'm Abby Bogust, and I'm a homeschooling parent. The idea is that children develop over time, that you focus on the grammar stage when they're small. That's a lot of memorization. The logic stage or dialectic stage in the middle years, and exactly when that happens depends on the child or which person you're talking to about homeschooling, but that's logic, making connections, taking all those pieces of information they've studied when they're small and putting them together in new ways. And then as they get older, really learning how to speak and write about those things in a persuasive and intelligent way.
But I went to the kindergarten roundup the year before our oldest was supposed to go into kindergarten, and I wasn't thrilled with what I saw. The kids were coloring in. It was a fish with bubbles coming up, and they were only coloring in the bubbles. And I asked why, why weren't they coloring in the entire fish, and what was happening with that? And the teacher excitedly told me that they were only doing the bubbles because they were getting ready for test prep.
So now we have the why, but we need the what. See, there are 3 main types of homeschooling. There's eclectic homeschooling, unschooling, and classical homeschooling.
We decided to homeschool kindergarten and just see how it went. We met with a reading specialist, and our oldest went to her 2 days a week, and we filled in with some homeschool classes. Where we live has an enormous homeschool community, and so he started taking art classes and living history classes and cooking classes, while at home we did every hour 10 minutes of phonics work, just drilling, and it worked.
So the unschooling method of homeschooling is, it's hard to put this in a nutshell, and it's different for everybody, but it's about the fact that learning happens all the time. It's based on the philosophy that just like kids learn to talk on their own and walk on their own just by seeing it around them, they also, out of innate curiosity, learn other things on their own.
Now I bet some of you are wondering, what was it like to be a homeschooler before this whole pandemic thing happened?
I'm Mike Epstein. I was homeschooled for all my schooling needs, and now I'm enrolled at the College of Worcester. The advantages of homeschooling definitely gives you more time, like you're way more flexible. You can kind of go at your own pace, whereas, public school, you're on a block schedule. Homeschooling can kind of be a misnomer. I stopped taking classes in my house after, I think, 5th grade. We went to a small hybrid school with retired teachers. You don't want to teach full time, but still want to teach a little bit.
So now it's time for the big question. Does homeschooling prepare you for college?
Most colleges like homeschoolers because it differentiates you in the college application process.
I absolutely think that homeschooling prepared them well for college. They both did 2 full years of college courses before they graduated from homeschool.
And Jesse's ended up going to college in the honors program on full scholarship, and it's because I gave him the freedom to find his way. I mean, it's not because of that. He could have done it in other homeschooling methods too, but it proved that they were going to learn what they needed to learn to follow their passions.
Homeschooling definitely prepared me for college because my homeschooling schedule mirrored my college schedule. I'm only taking 4 classes a semester, and obviously I'm not in school all day. So I can go to baseball practice when I have to, go to the gym and lift. I know how to schedule my time better thanks to homeschooling.
In the end, there is no right or wrong schooling choice. What really matters is that it's working for both the parent and the child. And after the whole coronavirus pandemic is over, there will be way more options than ever. And if your current situation isn't working, then you can change it. There's always another option.
Hi, my name is Cameron. I go to North Atlanta. I'm a senior and I identify as gay.
Hi, I'm Ellie Hodgson.
And I'm Andrew Weeks.
I identify as female, I'm a cis girl, and I am bisexual, so I like both genders, basically.
I am a trans male, which means I was born a female, but then transitioned into being a male. And I am bisexual. I like boys and girls. And
I like boys.
Honestly, I just like all genders. Yeah.
I think I discovered my sexuality a little early. I know I was it had to have been in like 4th or 5th grade actually. I just kind of I think I felt a little bit estranged from like some of the other kids. I moved around a lot, so I never really had like a chance to like make like strong connections with people. And so once I like really settled down which was 9th grade, that was when I finally came out to my family because I had like all these new friends and all these people that I kind of wanted to like make roots with. So I came out to my family in 9th grade, actually over the phone. I called each person individually. And I have a lot of siblings, so it was like 1, 2, 3. But everyone had pretty good responses to it, and everyone's still cool with it now.
Well, my realization came in like 7th grade. I realized I kind of liked girls in 6th grade, but then in 7th grade there was this one girl who I'm actually really close friends with now, and she had gorgeous red hair, and I fell in love with her, and I was like, yeah, I want to kiss your lips.
Well, it's kind of interesting because I realized I was trans before I realized I was bi, and before I was bi, I was a lesbian. So that's always interesting. Because like around like 5th grade, I was like, yeah, being a girl isn't the move. I really don't like it. I just didn't sit right with me. Every time like someone would address me by like my birth name or like you, she, her pronouns, I'd feel like icky. But if someone like, because I dressed very masculinely as a child and I had very like gender neutral hair, so like people would like misgender me as a boy like for a very long time, and I'd be like ecstatic about it. I'd be like, haha, you thought I was a guy, psych, but like still. So around 5th grade is when I was like, I'm definitely a dude, and then I didn't do anything about it. Like I didn't transition or anything, and I kind of like went back into the closet. Like emotionally, I was like, I'm definitely a dude, but like I didn't tell anybody about it. And then 6th grade, I was like, all right, maybe I'm just a butch lesbian. And I came out as that. And then 7th grade, I was like, never mind. Definitely a dude, definitely like girls. And then I was like, wait, definitely a dude, definitely also like boys.
My name is Ava, I'm 17 years old and I'm bisexual. For me, it's just kind of like I don't really care what gender the person I'm attracted to is. I've never had like a seriously homophobic interaction with somebody or like been called a slur or anything. So it's kind of just like normal, I guess. Like I've definitely had people that I don't know, especially like when I first came out in like 8th and 9th grade. This girl that I literally had never talked to before, she was like, "You're bi, right?" And I was like, "Yes." "And who are you?"
There's a weird stigma around liking or loving two genders. You'd think that if you liked multiple genders, it'd be as easy as coming out as gay or coming out as a lesbian or something like that. But for some reason, it has its own challenges.
You know, I had a teacher say to me once, like it came up in conversation. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm bi," and she was like, "Oh, you'll pick a side eventually," and I was like.
Hi, I'm Leah Overstreet. I guess I'm a senior at North Atlanta. So I'm the president of my school's Gay Straight Alliance. It's kind of recent, but here we are. So basically the Gay Straight Alliance is like a place for all the students who are either on the LGBT spectrum or they're allies or just like want to be like around or their friends. You know, like it's just like a place to like talk and like kind of discuss LGBT issues. Most of the time we just like mess around and hang out, but we do like kind of like start the day or I guess the afternoon with a discussion about something pertaining to the community and why it's important that we discuss it, and we just sort of like share like life stuff that's going on, like with like a specific like emphasis on like gay stuff.
I think the nature of North Atlanta, like it being a super diverse school, and also I guess like just having a really strong arts program, which I know is like kind of a stereotype, but let's be real, like there are a lot of artsy gays, like kind of makes it so that it's really normal to be gay. But I don't think that we necessarily have like a huge gay population or a hugely out gay population.
I think it's really important that there's like a space where people can go, because even though most people at our school are pretty much out and like their parents don't care, or like no one at school is really like getting bullied for being LGBT, it's kind of like nice to have a space where the people who aren't out or don't feel comfortable talking about stuff with other people, like it's important that they have a place to go to where it's people who understand their struggle or empathize with it, and it's kind of like, it's just nice to have a community or like a family.
So the thing about GSA is that I know a lot of students don't pay attention to it. Like, it's something you hear about every day, and there are definitely people who really care about it and come, and they all have a great time, and it's a safe space for them. But there's a lot of people who like put it in the back of their heads. It's like out of sight, out of mind. Like a lot of people wouldn't even know that there is a GSA.
I think the GSA is good.
The GSA is really good. They allow us to have a GSA. That's definitely a big step. I think we tried to have a GSA at our last school, and they were like, very funny.
Cute.
Go home.
Anyway.
We already gave you theater.
So I think it's good in terms of bringing people who would like to be a part of it into it, but for people who are homophobic or just don't want to associate themselves with what they perceive to be the gay image will kind of just forget about it, if that makes sense.
So, to be honest, I went to one meeting my freshman year, like the first meeting or the second meeting or something, and I didn't go again until this year. just because my friend is leading Gay Straight Alliance, and she said, like, it's all freshmen and sophomores. Can you please come to a meeting? And so I went.
Well, we do have some older members, but because they have other commitments, they sometimes can't come, so it is predominantly freshmen. So it's kind of weird because a lot of the times, like, we'll talk about relationships or, like, past experiences, and I'll realize halfway through that the past experience they're talking about happened in 7th grade. And it's just kind of weird because I'm at, like, that weird point where I'm in that weird part of Gen Z where it's like, you grew up kind of knowing that being gay was kind of taboo like 5 seconds ago, but it's not really. And so seeing the kids like be so expressive and so open with their sexualities, like some of them have like come out like since they were 6. You know, it's just like an odd concept to think about how much has changed in just like 4 years, how old I feel compared to them, and how it's like, oh wow, like you guys are like really out and proud. Like when you were 7 coming out, like I was still learning what being gay was. So, yeah.
If you feel that that's a space that you really, really want to be in, and you have things to get off your chest, or you want to listen to certain things and talk about like general gay experiences a lot, I think it's definitely important. Like, I guess it's sort of like, if it's super present in your life, then 100% go to GSA meetings. And also, if you just like want to meet gay people, definitely go to meetings, because, you know, it's pretty much all gay people. And also, if it's like, if you want to be the one who's helping younger gays or like mentoring them or anything, then that's nice too.
Since it is all new people, like it was like a whole lot of trying to put out posters and get the word out. And by the way, my posters got us in trouble because I was trying to be funny. So I did like a SpongeBob meme, and like I said, like, show up, it'd be gay not to, which is like a funny thing to say, like reclaiming the word, like we can say it, you know, we're the GSA. But the administration got concerned that it might be offensive, but like it was funny. I feel like it came from a place of really not wanting to be offensive, kind of like how on occasion white people will say African American, like trying to go the extra mile to make sure that they aren't like making anyone feel ostracized. So like props to the school. It was a bit annoying because it's like, but we are the gays, like we can say it, like this is our club, like we can like say what we want. But you know, it all comes up to like the school not wanting it to get misinterpreted, and that's like totally understandable.
Administration at North Atlanta has a difficult time distinguishing between what is like a fight or teasing between friends that goes a little too far versus like actual bullying.
I wouldn't say the administration is super active about certain, like they are very active about like targeting bullying and stuff like that. Like we have that I guess like that culture of everyone like wanting to make sure everyone's all right. But in terms of strictly like for gay or LGBT, there's not necessarily like a big focus or a big drive to like stop that. We do have GSA, but GSA is very, it's a student run like organization, so most of the like the efforts to make LGBT like bullying not a thing in North Atlanta is like very student driven and not necessarily administrative.
I've had, I think, one instance of just like blatant disrespect because I'm trans, and it was 9th grade finals week actually, and I was doing my Spanish final, and I came in late, and so everyone else is finished, and the class was like making like a huge ruckus, like they were being loud, talking, and Mr. Garcia was like, hey, could you guys quiet down? We saw the students testing. And then he had to call down like a different administrator to calm the class down. And she came in and was like, hey guys, quiet down, people are still testing. The class was like, no one's testing, who's testing? And she pointed to me and said, he's still testing. And they all looked at me and was like, you mean her? And like, I was like, no, it's he, I would know. And then like, they were just like, you're not a boy. And I was just like, yes, I am. And then they were like, are you sure? I was like, I would be the one to ask, you know? And they just kept on asking like really invasive, like in front of the entire class and like these two authority figures. They were just asking really like invasive questions and like stuff about like my private parts and like things like that nature. And they were just like, then why do you paint your nails? I was like, I didn't know you were the gender police. Him or the other administrator really could have stopped them, but they didn't. And I just, in moments like that, I felt like truly like, wow, I'm like really sitting out here being the only trans kid at my school.
I feel like they put up a front of like absolutely not tolerating it, and there are a few teachers, especially we have a large community of LGBT teachers at the school, and obviously they are very intolerant to that. But I feel like when you get higher up at a certain point, when you get past those very few teachers, it's the help kind of ends there.
I don't believe that there is any bullying in like the 90s movie sense where you're like pushing them into a locker and being like, hey, queer, like you better get out of my school, or, you know, like I'll out you to your parents. Like it's not as like movie drama as that, but I feel like the homophobia that is there, much like racism these days, is kind of subtle. It's less of a blatant, I don't like gay people and I'm gonna beat you up, and more of a, you kind of notice they'll make comments or not be comfortable.
I'm being bullied because of how I am. They push it to the side and they're just like, well, blah, 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 or like, you can't expect everyone to understand it. You just have to believe in yourself and blah, 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 blah. Like, I've been to many a different schools, and it's happened at like almost every school. Like an instance where I felt like, sheesh, like the school really don't care about me. And for what?
So do you think if like, a student were to truly speak up about it, like they would receive help from the administration?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe so.
Do you think if the administration like firsthand witnessed an occurrence of this, that they would stop it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
There's an unspoken expectation that if you are being bullied because of how you identify, your sexuality, or your gender, most administrators will see that as something you should just take, something that you not deserve, but should be expected, so they don't need to do anything about it.
I don't think bullying in general at North Atlanta, it's also not like that prolific of a problem as far as I'm concerned. Like I really don't see it happening or like hear about it happening all that often. But I definitely think at any school, like there's more that can be done.
My one trans friend, he's a sophomore, and he told us that he'd been experiencing like something in his theater class. There were these two white boys he said that they were being like kind of racist and homophobic to him. And it was like really odd because like you don't really hear many stories about that. Like it's almost like you forget that that sort of thing happens and that exists. It's like, oh wait, what? Like that's not allowed. And so I had a little chat with one of the boys. And I basically threatened to get him expelled for hate speech. And I think that fixed him right up because he did apologize to my friend. I have a different friend who took a different approach that I will not disclose here. But I don't condone it.
It's hidden a lot of times, and a lot of people don't necessarily speak up about their instances, so it's hard for administration to do anything about it if they don't know.
I don't know if my friend actually ever reported them. I think it was kind of like they didn't want to make a big hoopla about it, but me and my friend, because we're like 2 years older than them, so like my friend, he's a sophomore, and me and my other friend were seniors, and so we kind of felt like a need, like, and at this time they were freshmen, and we were like, well, we need to like do something about this, because if the teacher's not going to do anything, if they don't want to report to administration, then we felt like a need to like kind of like step in and be like, hey, like this isn't cool.
I've gotten into a physical fight because someone called Andrew a tranny.
I was there.
They didn't get in trouble. It's okay. I'm not salty.
That was at Sutton, the feeder school. Don't stand Sutton.
6th and 7th grade was like one of those, it was middle school was hard for everyone, so I got bullied a little bit, and I don't know, I didn't have like as many friends, so I was kind of lonely in those years. I think it was definitely because of my image. Like I was I'm still this way. Like I'm not as, I guess, manly as other guys, and I carry myself very like light or delicately, so that was one thing that people would always like bring attention to, but yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, we both went to the same feeder school, so like the homophobia, transphobia, it was a lot like broader there. And I feel like just because we're all like immature middle schoolers when we were in 8th grade, but I wouldn't say I feel the most safe at North Atlanta, because like truly I don't feel really safe anywhere because of the labels that I have that go along with me, but I do feel safer than in other places.
Well, I would definitely, if I lived like, in Macon or something, I probably wouldn't be as open about it.
And I went to stay with my sister in 7th grade, which was in Macon, Georgia. So that was fun. Loved that. Atlanta's very different from the rest of Georgia. Macon is very like, and I lived in like an upscale area of Macon, so it was all right there, but there's still a bit of a backwards mentality, and it can kind of show even in like younger kids. So
I feel like we're kind of like a little nugget in like hellfire. So if we go outside the perimeter, like if you go far enough outside the perimeter, you get in like Hodunk Town, like where all like the horror movies are about people getting shipped off to gay conversion therapy or being like, like put through hell for expressing themselves. And so I didn't really realize how strong the contrast was, because I like to think, like when I think of like my little like area of living, Atlanta, I think, oh, I live in Georgia, but I went to the summer program where it was like kids from all over Georgia, and they were like living on farms, they were living in really small towns, and I realized that a lot of my friends who happened to be like on the LGBT spectrum, that this was like kind of the first time that they really got to express themselves or feel safe.
In the world, there are certain places that are definitely going to be much more homophobic, biphobic, transphobic, just because that's how society is, unfortunately, in this day and age.
Like I went to Pride this year for the first time ever, which is kind of wild. And it's pretty much everybody there is gay. And it was so nice to see, and it was also kind of really surprising because I was like, there's a lot of people here right now. And like, if I'm going with the fact that most of these people are gay, and definitely not all the gay people in Atlanta come to Pride, like that's a lot of gay people. Like a lot of gay people. But then like in the rest of Georgia, I know that it's not like that, which is horrible and sad. But also like, I'm really lucky to have grown up somewhere where there is so many gay people.
I have this walk. And a lot of people talk about it and they're like, oh my God, like I love the way you walk and stuff like that. But when I was a lot younger, like I still walk the same as I do. And people would be like, oh my God, why are you walking like that? And so I think I remember like physically straining myself so that I would walk in like a more manly way, or like I would like walk more rigid on purpose so that people wouldn't talk about my walk. And when they did talk about my walk, then that like opened the door to the question like, are you possibly gay? And I was like,
Being trans is almost like, even though like you see it on like TV occasionally, and like, oh, there's that one trans kid from like the Fosters, I don't know what that show is, but like, and like Caitlyn Jenner and stuff like that, like they know of it, but they don't understand it. So like the diversity of North Atlanta really has made it like bearable.
Because you are exposed to more people like that, there's no big shock. There's no, oh, Marty might be gay and we don't like it. Like, it's just kind of like, oh, Marty's gay? So's Stefan, so's Kevin, so's this person, so's that person. So it's less of an anomaly and it's not as much of a spectacle. Like, no one's having a big coming out. If anyone's coming out, it's to their parents or letting their friends know, hey, you guys were right.
Before I came out, I never saw a trans man. I only saw trans women, and I was just like, that's kind of crazy. And then I figured out that they were trans men, and I was like, that's even crazier. That's even crazier.
In Macon, I've been like name called and stuff like that. But in North Atlanta, no one has ever like blatantly name called me or anything like derogatory. But I have had situations where, I don't know, friends of mine, specifically guys, will not necessarily feel uncomfortable, but they'll kind of disassociate themselves from me if I get too friendly or like get too comfortable with them, if that makes sense, because I know they think I like them, but...
And so the instances in which it does happen are kind of rare or subtle, or it's more like, oh, that kid was just voicing their opinion, or you can't really, you know, like you can try to educate Timmy, but he might not get it, and that's like his right, and they're kind of, it's, I feel like there isn't really any big issue at our school specifically, like for that sort of thing. So I feel like if the school had like a rally, like we're gonna protect the gay kids at this school, all the gay kids would look at each other like, what happened?
I think kind of supporting that student voice that we have is a big positive thing, because I know they don't, it's not like they necessarily go out on a limb themselves, but if we speak up about something, they'll kind of back us up sometimes, which is cool. North Atlanta does a good job of like hiring a diverse staff. Like I have gay teachers, and I have teachers of almost every nationality that I can think of right now. Different religions, different family upbringings, different financial statuses. And I think they make it's just a lot easier to kind of interact with them, because you realize that they kind of represent this world that you are a part of, and you have differences just like they have differences.
Well, we have gay teachers, like a lot of gay teachers, and which I think is like kind of something that isn't like talked about enough. The fact that we have like several openly gay teachers at our school, I think it's just cool because you know, those teachers kind of flock to their gay students, and if I needed someone to talk to about some kind of a crisis that I was going through, and maybe I wanted to talk to somebody who could relate, then it's nice that I would have like someone that I could do that with.
But also it's like, I know there's been many a times where like I've been not so much about me being bi, about me being trans. I feel like it's like the end of the world. I'm just like, I'm gonna like feel like this dysphoria, or like feel like no one's gonna like respect like my pronouns or anything like that for the rest of my life. And when I see like an adult who, at least to me, has their life put together and like they're alive, that like, it's like, if they could do it, I could.
If you don't have a safe place to talk about what you're going through or anything bad that's happening to you, that's specifically geared to the lens of the LGBT community, then a lot of your problems could go unheard, or potentially just not even understood as problems.
Personally, worst thing about being trans is the dysphoria and the depression that I get from being dysphoric. For those of you who don't understand what dysphoria is, it is feeling a discomfort with your body because of your gender identity. I get it fairly frequently. And it's probably like one of those things that like it never shuts off. Like it always is like coursing in the back of my mind. And some days I'm feeling really great and I'm just like, I'm looking super masculine. My voice sounds deep. Like my jawline's like kind of high. I don't know. And then some days I'm just like I look in the mirror and like I can't help but to cry because I'm just like, ew, this isn't the body that I want. This isn't the face that I want. This isn't the anything that I want, and I want it to all just like go away.
Like, I did an article interviewing like the teachers that identified as LGBT and the students, and the teachers had like, they commented that a lot of times like they didn't have anyone else in their school. Like, there was like one other person and they weren't really friends, or, you know, like they were kind of like, so it took them longer to figure it out or feel comfortable even considering that. Meanwhile, the students, all their friends are gay, so them being like, oh yeah, me too. Like, it's not that big of a thing.
My favorite part about being LGBT is I like guys. Guys are great, like guys. But just kidding. I think my favorite part about being LGBT is the overwhelming support that people give you for being yourself. And that makes me seem like a big like attention seeker, but I guess it's just like, it's good sometimes to, and not necessarily like, I don't think we need approval or validation to be who we are, but I think because we face so much like negative sometimes, the good part about being gay is that it's kind of a trend. So.
My favorite thing about being bi is the choices. I mean, come on. Like, it genuinely confuses me how people can see like one gender and just be like, that's the one I want
That's
forever.
enough.
Like, girls are very attractive, guys are very attractive. Like, like it's just like, why put yourself in a box and say I only want one thing when you could have everything?
You know, in high schools, I think love is such an important thing that kind of just comes up so much in life, because even if you're not going through like a romantic situation that's going badly or going really well, it's still like people talk about like relationships a lot in high school.
Dating is hard because gay girls think you're straight and straight guys think you're gay. Yeah. Hair dye is so expensive. Just not being able to see yourself in media, and your first thought whenever you meet someone new is, but wait, are they homophobic?
I think it's kind of like, just because we are attracted to a wider range of people than the normal person doesn't mean that, you know, we're gonna cheat on a relationship or like be down to have a threesome or, you know, not want to be in a serious relationship at all, because I think that it kind of like, I don't know, it's harmful to put down an entire section of the population and be like, well, you know, they're here for a good time, not a long time.
My favorite thing about being trans, can't answer. But favorite thing about being trans, well, like, everyone's trying to look up. I like confusing people. Like, because like I've yet to start hormones or anything like that. So like my friends would be like, oh my goodness, my period was so hard, and I'd be like, I know, right? Like, I had such bad cramps, and they're just like, excuse me? And like, it's just like so funny, like confusing people, or people who like misgender me and they think I'm a girl, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm a dude.
So when I was down with the boys last Saturday.
So I was hanging out with the boys on Saturday. Like, and they're just like, whoa, like I just like seeing the confliction on people's face, but also to be more serious. One thing I like being a trans male of color is the fact that there's not many of them, and
the discounts.
The discounts. There's not many trans men of color, like especially like there's just not. That's just like, well, like you can find some like on like social media and stuff, but like I don't run into a daily trans man of color. Like, I don't have one, and there's like never like not that much representation of trans men of color on like TV. And like, it's almost like there's like more representation of trans female of color on TV, like Laverne Cox and stuff of that nature. But like, there's not many of them, and I pride myself on, at some point of my life when I'm older, hopefully taller, I don't know, becoming that representation for other trans kids of color, because like, I have big dreams for myself. I hope to be on Broadway. I hope to make music and be something. I'm not meant to be nothing at all. And I'm not gonna let the fact that I'm trans and of color, like, push me back. I'm gonna make sure that all trans kids of color, all kids of color understand that, like, you are meant to be something. Whether that be a doctor, whether that be an actress, whether that be a dancer, a teacher, you're supposed to be in this world.
The person that you were having problems with, the one you said you were going to try.
Look for dresses for wedding.
Oh, good. She ain't forgave.
Yes, I can.
No, you haven't.
She put on mainstream business.
She did mess up dresses out there.
Of course she did.
They weren't ready. I think Barbara Smith had to come in there and save them. Didn't she? Or did she? Somebody did the green and somebody did the gold. Who did it?
I can't remember. I remember the dresses were messed up.
It's Onita.
Onita who?
Fenner.
Sharon. Did Freeman did those dresses? Onita Fenner.
Onita Fenner came in and fixed them.
Her and Barbara.
Yes.
Yeah, her and Barbara.
Yeah.
Barbara Smith. I didn't know whether our children was gonna get married that day or not.
My mom met my dad at Georgia Tech in 1991, and they got married right after they graduated in 1996. They lived in Rhode Island and Virginia Beach before deciding to come back to Atlanta, where my mom grew up. She grew up in the inner city, so close to Georgia Tech, but didn't even know what the school was until she moved to live with her dad in the suburbs, where she was exposed to different things. Without this exposure and access, she wouldn't have known about Georgia Tech, and she wouldn't have met my dad. These experiences were the main factors in how she raised us.
Bring back a sense of nostalgia and pride and meaning. And so where I was born, 19 Love Street, I remember the smell of the place. I remember the cobblestone sidewalks. I remember warm summer days and cool summer nights and what that felt like. All of those things fill me with joy and then a sense of pain. Seeing the neighborhood transformed, because when I go to the neighborhood now, even though it's transformed, I look and I say, could I afford to live here? And so there's some pain in that, but the neighborhood still has people there, and I just wonder if the neighborhood still has that same meaning and feeling for the people that live there now as it has transformed.
Hi, I'm Nelson Dean, and this is my firstborn, Lucretia Gant. I was born in 1950 to Dorothy and Steve Dean. I'm 11 of 12 children, and I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. Both of us are born in Summerhill.
I was born on 19 Love Street in Summerhill. When I started high school, I went to a predominantly white high school coming from a predominantly black middle school. On occasion, there were some racial slurs launched at me, and I remember the first time I was called the N-word, and I came home to share that with my dad, that someone had called me the N-word, and I was a little bit traumatized. He said, well, are you that? Are you an N-word?
So they call you the N-word. Is that who you are? That's not who you are. You know, that's who they label you as being.
It was kind of forceful, and I think I snapped out of it, but I didn't really understand the forcefulness until I became a parent. You want to protect your kid from hurt that you may have felt by encouraging them to rise above it. You're feeling hurt at the same time, but you want them to not let that pain overtake them. I went to school with people who were professed skinheads and things of that sort, and I think his encouragement helped me to rise above that and to even confront people, not face to face. I wrote them letters, but
So you wrote people letters. So like, what did you say in the letters? Like,
well, I mean, I just challenged their thoughts. Like, everybody can't be the same, and if you are upset that I'm in this space because I'm black, what if everybody were white? Then what would it be next? Would it be that everybody needed to have blue eyes, everybody needed to have blonde hair? We're all going to be different. I think that was the essence of my letter toward someone who was a skinhead. It was a young lady, as a matter of fact. I think she was just trying to find her space, and to find her space, she thought or felt that she needed to deny me my space. My father integrated schools in 1964 and went through quite a lot.
We heard the N-word. We had a lot of things done to us while we were in high school. Just walking down the hall, people would throw erasers and chalk and all kinds of things at least at me. It was kind of traumatic, trying to learn in an environment that was so fueled by fear and hatred. We need to have a learning environment, but when you go to school and you're afraid and all kinds of things are said to you and done to you, it's difficult. I was in a foot race with a guy that I could actually beat, and I wouldn't, because I didn't know how it would affect the onlookers or the spectators. And I remember, pulling up and letting him win just so that I wouldn't be persecuted. So yeah, all of that affects the learning ability and creates an environment that you have to choose whether you're going to try to be at peace or you're going to make a stand.
I don't know how much I knew about my dad's experiences going to school, how much I carried those experiences in my mind when I was going to school. I know one thing that my dad did is that every day he would drive me to school, even though I stayed within walking distance. So I could have well walked to school, but he would drive me to school and he would pray with me. And he would pray that I would have the mind of Christ. And he would pray that I would excel and that I would be in the top. So, and I think that fueled me. It definitely fueled me being in a space where there weren't a lot of people like me. It determined or propelled my decision to pursue the school that I went to, the engineering field that I pursued. Was all about making a statement, about doing something that someone like me hadn't done before.
She's a fighter, and so so she takes adversity and uses it. I don't know if she got that from me, but I know that she used it in high school. It caused her to score in the top 5% of her class and prepared her for the college that she went to. My middle brother, James Dean, became the first black state representative in DeKalb County. And then I had a brother that's 3 years older than me, followed James' footsteps and became a politician or state representative from our community, from the Summerhill community. I often have my nieces and nephews, and even Lucretia, come and serve as a page in the state capitol. A lot of things that he did that I didn't understand. Again, being traumatized in high school, and that experience in high school really set a course in my life because my mother made a statement one time and said that she wished that I would be like my brother James. When these things were happening, I really felt out of place. I mean, because to me, they were doing things and they were making marks, and mainly they made my mother happy. And I just felt like I didn't have anything significant to do. I now know that that wasn't God's purpose for my life.
Although my grandfather's experience in high school might have set his life on a course he wasn't expecting, his experience inadvertently set a course for everyone else's life in my family.